CenterPoint has many preference settings, and in this session, we're going to be talking about the preferences for reports. From your File menu, we're going to go to Preferences and then Reports. Under the Reports section, we'll start with the federal and state tax forms. With your CenterPoint program, Aatrix Forms is installed, and Aatrix is going to generate your tax forms for payroll if you're using CenterPoint Payroll, and your 1099 forms for the accounting. In the Application tab, if you have changed where the installation of Aatrix has been installed, then you'll need to redefine where the aatrixforms.exe file is. This is the recommended location, but if for some reason you've changed that location, then this is where you would browse to the new location of that aatrixforms.exe. Otherwise, your updates for Aatrix will not be working. And as well, if you want to change the location of the history files that are saved for your Aatrix reports, you would set this Use Non-Default File Location to Yes, and then browse to the location of where your history files are. Once you make any changes in your preferences, you want to make sure and click your Save button. We're going to go on now to the next section of Filters. When you are doing reports in CenterPoint and you're on a lookup field like names or accounts, the maximum selected items that you see at one time is 500. If you want to change that to a higher value, then you can change that figure right here. On financial statements, we have a couple of options. When you have an account where the amount is 0, you can choose if you want to print a 0, and then you would say yes. Or if you don't want to print a 0, you just want it to be blank, then you would answer this no. On balance sheets, if you drill down on a balance sheet value, you have an option of the drill down period to be just that ending month, the 1 month period, or you can set it so that the drill down will give you a year to date. So for example, if you did a balance sheet for September and your beginning month of your year is January, it would give you January through September activity rather than just September. In the general section are some different ways to manage your favorites. If you have multiple databases, you can save favorites per database, and that's done by choosing this option of Display Database Favorites to Yes. That's going to be putting an additional tab on your report screen of database tab. So you'll have a reports tab, a favorites tab, and a database tab. When you save a report to your favorites, it can be copied to the database tab, and then your database would have a specific list of reports just for that particular database. On your default report tab, you can select which of the tabs you want as the default when you open up from the reports menu. And if you select anything but reports, then you can also disable the reports tab. So if you have some users that are running reports for you and you don't want them to be using the reports from the base reports, you want them to use from either the favorites or the database tab, you can set to disable the reports tab to yes, and then they won't be able to go to that database tab or the reports tab if you set that option at the application level. If you are using a network and you want to see the location of the reports for everyone, this preference allows network installations to set up one shared location for displaying and printing reports for everyone that uses the application. So you would be copying your CenterPoint.favorites.variations file from your documents directory and saving that to a network location, and then in this field you would browse to that location of where you saved those favorite variations file, and that would then create a network tab on everyone's machine, and those reports then would be available under the network tab. You cannot save a favorite to that network tab. If you want to update the files that the reports that are in the network tab, you would have to again copy your CenterPoint.favorites.variations file to that location again at the network location. If you are using custom reports that were designed by Red Wing Software, this would indicate the location of where you're storing those custom reports. And if you're exporting reports, this would indicate where those files are getting exported. And then we're going to go on to report styles. And under report styles, when you run reports or preview them, there are some different styles that increase the font size, do different shading and underlining of group titles and headers. These are some different options, and you can experiment with those in running reports. And if there's one that you like better and want to set as a default, that can be selected at this point here. And you would select that. This would then be the new default report style that would get used when you are running reports. And as with all the other preferences, any changes that you do, you want to make sure and click Save, and then close your database and open it up again in order to see those new changes that you've done. And we'll have other preferences being addressed in some other sessions of CenterPoint.